Okay, what I want to cover here is how to prep your logos and your labeling to go into InDesign. And so here, what I have here is a final comp in Photoshop of the branding and the flavors in here. And we're going to want to take this into Illustrator so that we can kick these out as Illustrator files to bring into InDesign. So I've saved this out. It's got its layers and everything in here. The logo itself by here is a smart object, so it's vector. Of course, all the text is vector. And then we're going to open this. It's saved out as a TIFF file, and then we're going to open it in Illustrator. So we're going to go over to Illustrator, and then we're going to open the file. So File, Open. And then we'll find the file, which is right here, and then we're going to open it. So we're opening a TIFF file into Illustrator. Now there's a couple little tricks with this. Matter of fact, this is a trick I show people how to package your TIFF file with its fonts, because Photoshop by its very nature does not pack fonts, but Illustrator does. Alright, so we're opening it here, and we just want to tell it to convert the layers to objects, okay? And click OK. And then what it's going to do is going to open it, and it's going to open it, and it's going to be in the same structure that it was over in Photoshop, okay? So I can just go in here, and I'm going to close all these layers. Alright, so basically what we have here is the same thing as we have in Illustrator. I mean in Photoshop, but we have it in Illustrator, and then what we're going to do is we're going to modify this. So the first thing I want to do is to come in here, and I want to turn off the things that I don't want. So I don't really want this background with the bottle. All I want is, I'm going to turn the bottom off. And so what I've got here is the ligature that's created with the text. So what I'm going to do is to go over here and click to highlight it. Okay, you click here and it'll highlight everything, and then you're going to copy it. Now we're going to paste it into a new file. So we're going to go File, New. Doesn't really matter what the size of the file is that we put it in, because we're going to alter it anyway. Okay, and then just paste it in here. And where it lands is fine. Okay, you can move it around. Doesn't really matter. There's no registration of what's going on right now. All right, then we're going to go in here, and I'm going to grab the labels here. Okay, now I'm not going to be taking this Parvis's flavored non-alcoholic ciders. I'm not taking that into InDesign, but I am taking this Berry Bloom in, because it's going to be the title of my section. So all I have to do is to open this up, and I've got that all in a layer here. So I'm just going to click to select that, and you'll see it selected. Then I just copy that, and then I just paste it in here. It's going to move it around. And the reason I'm moving around is because I'm going to paste some others, and they'll start pasting on top of each other. Okay. Now, one of the things you're going to want to do, okay, is before you do this, okay, sorry, before you start bringing it in here, you really want to make a layer for each one of these. So we want to make a layer for the Berry Bloom. And I'll paste that in here. So it's going to go on that. Let's make another layer for the ligature. And it's actually the branding and the ligature. So I'm just going to say branding. And go back over here, and I need to get that again. Okay, and then when I have this, make sure I have the branding active. So click right here so it's active. And then when I paste, it's going to go into that. Let's hope we got the wrong one. Did I not? paste. So it's on its own layer. This is what I'm saying. I kind of move these around so they don't paste on top of each other. Okay, so over here, all right, so now we need to go into the ginger gold. So let's go back over here and make another layer. I'm going to call this ginger gold. I need to make sure that one's active. Okay, under ginger gold here, I want this group. So copy that, and then make sure ginger gold and paste. So that's on its own layer there. So these are all coming in on their own layers, which just makes it easy for me to deal with. All right, then I have one more I need to deal with, which is this lemon sour. So I'm going to pick it, copy it over here, make a new layer, lemon sour, and make sure that's active, and then paste. And so now these are all in their own layers. Okay. I'm going to put these close to each other. And then one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to scale all of these. So I'm holding the shift key down to grab all these, and I want to scale them bigger. Okay. So I'm going to make these now. When you're scaling in Illustrator, it'll distort them. So once you've grabbed it and started pulling it, hold down the shift key, and then I'll make it proportional, and then I'm going to scale these up bigger so that their resolution is a little bit better. Now, one of the things that does happen here is I've kind of got a cyclical loop here, because if you get in close on this, you'll see that this ligature is pixelated, and that's because it's a smart object that's being brought in directly from Photoshop, and it really doesn't, and I'm not, it's, when I saved it as a TIFF and opened it in here, it lost its connection. Okay, so what I want to do is to go back over to Photoshop, and I want to get where this ligature is right here, and then I just want to double click on it. And when I double click on it, then it's going to open it over here in Illustrator. And now you'll see it's nice and clean. And so now I can take this and copy this and go back over to this image. And then I'm just going to leave it in the branding. And I'm going to paste it. And now I'll have to manually scale it. Be sure you're holding the shift key down. And I'm going to replace this one that's in here. That's pretty much it right there. And so then up here where this vector object is, I'm going to pick this vector object and I'm going to delete it. And so now I've replaced, and now all of this will be really nice and clean as I've replaced it with there we go. Okay, so now this is all clean vector. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is I want to put each one of them on its own artboard. It'll be easier for me. So we'll go over to our artboard tool, and then I'm just going to resize it. Okay, and these artboards are named. You can see right up here it says artboard 1. If I go to properties, then I can name this. So I'm going to call this CS for Cider Saint space, and I'm going to call this branding. So now you'll see this is labeled that. So now I can draw another one here. So I'm going to draw one of brown berry bloom, and this one's going to be CS bloom. I don't have to type the whole thing in. Let's call this bloom. Okay, I'll draw one here. Okay, this is going to be ginger. And then I'll bring one down here. And this is sour. Now the reason I do that is because I can export these out, and as I export them, it will I can tell it to export by artboard, and then it'll export all these as separate pieces. Alright, so what we want to do now is go File, and we want to go Save As, and we want to save these as Illustrator files. Okay, let me just make a folder here. Go into this folder, and I'm going to call this CS, and I'm going to go Save, and then a window's going to come up. Okay, and what I want to click right here is to save each one of these as a separate artboard. Okay, now when I'm saving these, okay, I'm saving them as Illustrator files, because an Illustrator file will come directly into InDesign and it will hold transparency. Okay, so let's do that again. So this is going to be CS, and the only reason I'm putting just CS in here and I'm going to put an underscore is because I'm going to tell it to export all the boards, and it's going to name them by the names on the boards. So when I hit save, I'm going to save each board. Now you can tell it to save specific boards, like if I just want to save one thing, but in my case I want to save all of these out, and so I'm going to click OK. Alright, so now if I go to my downloads folder, refresh it, go down there, let me find that folder, and now what it's given me is each one of these on its own layer. So the sour is a layer, the ginger's a layer, the branding's on a layer, and the bloom's on a layer. Okay. Now that's a huge advantage, because now I can drag those directly into InDesign, and it will there'll be vector, and then I can place them where I need in my InDesign. Okay. Now that same trick can be done also to export these out as PNGs to put on like a bottle, like in Fusion 360. Okay, so I can do the exact same thing, except in this case I would say I can go export as, and then I'll go CS PNG. Okay, and then I'm going to tell it to use artboards, and it's going to say, I can pick specific one, but I'll say all, and export them. And then in here we have some options up here, okay, for our anti-aliasing. Okay, and since these are vectors and no rastering, we want this one that says type optimized. Okay, and then that will get us the closest to our crisp edge to these. And then we want this on transparent, so all these come in as transparent, and then I can click OK, and then that'll do the same thing. That'll bring those back in. Okay, and then it'll bring those in as PNGs. So these PNGs, we do not want to use these in InDesign, because PNGs are RGB. No matter what we do, they're RGB. They're not CMYK. Okay. So we want the illustrators in InDesign, and then these can be used like as stickers or decals in Fusion 360 to put on our bottle. Okay, so that's how to prep your work ready to go in InDesign, where we'll be using our logo. Now, it's not we could export the ligature out by itself if we was going to use it out by ourselves, but there's really no reason to do that because we can tell it when we're using it to just use this same file and we'll just trim off the bottom of it. So I don't need that separately, even though I'm going to use the CS separately. Okay, and there you go. That's how to prep your work and get ready to use your vector artwork in InDesign. All right, thank you.